Erik Matti has built a reputation as one of the most daring and uncompromising filmmakers in the Philippines. His films are not afraid to confront power, corruption, religion, and violence, often weaving them into stories that feel both unsettling and undeniably real. From the crime-ridden streets of On the Job to the explosive tension of Buy Bust and the gothic atmosphere of Seclusion, Mati has consistently pushed the boundaries of genre while grounding his work in sharp social commentary. In this video, we'll break down the style and vision of Erik Matti, exploring how he tells stories, shapes atmosphere, and creates films that challenge the very fabric of Philippine society.
Mag-word of mouth lang. First 2 days, pag may nag-word of mouth lang nito, oh my God, we're gonna get back the money we produced for such a special passion project, you know.
This is how Erik Matti directs a movie. At the heart of Erik Matti's filmmaking is his fearless approach to storytelling. He often crafts narratives that reflect the harsh realities of Philippine society, including crime, corruption, power, and survival. His stories don't shy away from the uncomfortable. Instead, they lean into it, forcing viewers to confront issues that are often ignored and glossed over. Matti has a particular talent for blending genre conventions with social critique. On the Job works as a tense, gripping crime thriller, but beneath its surface lies a sharp commentary on systemic corruption, poverty, and how institutions exploit the powerless. Similarly, Buy Bust draws from the conventions of action cinema, but the chaos of its story reflects the complexities and tragedies of the Philippine drug war. His storytelling is unapologetically direct, often eschewing subtlety for urgency. Characters are thrown into morally gray situations where choices carry heavy consequences, reflecting the reality of a society mired in corruption and inequality. Matti also thrives on world building. Even when his stories are rooted in genre, be it horror, thriller, or action, he grounds them in environments that feel real, lived in, and distinctly Filipino.
Find yourself talking to someone or something, not necessarily to God or not necessarily praying, na parang, what happened? Can we do something about this? Can we, alam mo yun?
It's this balance of spectacle and authenticity that makes his stories resonate with audiences both locally and abroad. Erik Matti approaches production with both ambition and pragmatism, often working within the constraints of the Philippine film industry while pushing for scale and spectacle. He has a reputation for mounting large, technically demanding shoots, sometimes in chaotic, unpredictable environments, yet still maintaining control over the storytelling. His production style is collaborative but uncompromising. He works closely with his team, especially with his longtime producer, Don Monteverde, to execute complex set pieces that rival international standards. Buy Bust, for example, required massive crowd scenes and elaborate fight choreography. Staged within the claustrophobic slums and labyrinthine alleyways, the sequences demanded logistical precision and stamina from cast and crew, yet the result was a raw, visceral experience that placed audiences directly in the chaos of its world. Matti is also known for his willingness to embrace risk. Whether it's the grittiness of On the Job, shot in real prisons with non-actors as extras, or the epic scale of his historical series On the Job: The Missing Eight, he prioritizes authenticity even if it complicates production. For him, the challenges of shooting in difficult locations or under limited budgets are not obstacles, but opportunities to ground his film in realism. At the same time, he's one of the few Filipino directors consistently bridging mainstream and independent cinema.
We went on certain genres that we like to watch on the big screen, no? Horror, action, sometimes erotica.
His productions balance commercial viability with author-driven storytelling, proving that ambitious, socially aware films can also reach wide audiences. Erik Matti's use of color is bold, dynamic, and deeply tied to the emotional and thematic undercurrents of his film. Unlike directors who prefer muted and naturalistic palette, Matti often embraces heightened colors to amplify tension, chaos, or moral ambiguity. In By Bust, neon greens, sickly yellows, and stark reds dominate the visual landscape. The palette mirrors the oppressive, suffocating atmosphere of Manila's drug war, while also pushing the viewer into a heightened, almost nightmarish reality. These colors are not just aesthetic choices, they become part of the story's pressure cooker, underscoring paranoia, violence, and even moral collapse. In On the Job, the approach is different but equally intentional. Earthy tones and desaturated hues reflect the grit and decay of a corrupt political and prison system. The color here leans towards realism, but it still carries Matti's signature intensity. Every shadow and highlight feels deliberate, guiding the audience toward unease and suspicion. Matti also uses color to differentiate spaces of power and vulnerability. Politicians' offices are often saturated with warm, almost golden tones, suggesting prestige and control. At the same time, street-level scenes are drenched in harsher, colder lighting, immersing the audience in danger and desperation. Ultimately, Matti's use of color does more than set the mood. It operates as a visual language of conflict, power, and decay, shaping how audiences emotionally engage with the narrative.
It's really fun to watch.
Erik Matti's visual style is defined by kinetic cinematography and striking, often theatrical lighting choices. He crafts frames that not only serve the story but also heighten its intensity, pushing viewers deeper into the chaos of his worlds. His camera work is rarely passive. In On the Job, handheld shots and close, invasive framing immerse us in the grime of prison cells and the tension of political backrooms. The restless movement of the camera mirrors the instability of the characters' lives, always shifting, never secure. In contrast, By Bust employs long takes and wide shots that transform crowded alleyways into battlegrounds, emphasizing the claustrophobia of Manila's urban sprawl. Lighting is just as integral to Matti's style. He often uses bold contrasts, neon washes, stark shadows, and sudden bursts of artificial light to create both mood and meaning. In By Bust, fluorescent greens and reds flood the screen, not just as visual flair but as part of the suffocating atmosphere of paranoia. Meanwhile, in On the Job, dim, smoky interiors echo the murky ethics of its characters, where corruption hides in the shadows and truth struggles to come to light. What ties these elements together is Matti's precision, whether through harsh, directional lighting that sculpts faces into masks of guilt and fear, or dynamic camera movements that thrust the audience into the thick of the action. His cinematography and lighting combine to create a visceral, almost overwhelming sensory experience. If Erik Matti's camera drags you into the chaos, his editing makes sure you feel every second of it. His films are cut with a sense of urgency, tight, rhythmic, and deliberately disorienting when the story demands it. In On the Job, the editing mirrors the dual lives of prisoners turned hitmen and the lawmen chasing them. The cross-cutting between cramped prison interiors and high-powered political offices creates a relentless rhythm, exposing the uneasy ties between crime and government. Each cut feels like a jolt, reminding us that the two worlds are not just connected, but complicit. With By Bust, Matti pushes this even further. The film's frenetic editing intensifies the sense of claustrophobia, as quick cuts between dark alleys, frantic chases, and brutal clashes overwhelm both the characters and the audience. It's a stylistic choice that captures the chaos of a city turned war zone. But Matti also knows when to slow things down. Moments of silence, lingering shots, or held reactions are carefully placed for contrast. Small pauses that make the bursts of violence hit even harder. His editing style thrives on this push and pull, constantly keeping viewers off balance. In essence, Matti's editing is storytelling in motion, a mix of speed, rhythm, and deliberate chaos that mirrors the fractured, unstable world his films expose. If the images pull you into Erik Matti's world, the sound makes sure you never escape it. His sound design is loud, layered, and immersive, often pushing realism to its limit to heighten the tension. Gunshots crack like thunder, footsteps echo in cramped hallways, and city noise bleeds into every frame, reminding us that his stories exist in a living, breathing, chaotic environment. Music in Matti's films doesn't just underscore scenes, it amplifies them. The pulsing beats and atmospheric scores in On the Job build suspense, while the aggressive, percussive soundtrack of By Bust mirrors the relentless brutality of the action. Silence, too, becomes a weapon. Moments where sound drops, but moments where sound drops out completely leaves us hanging in dread, making the eventual impact of violence and revelation all the more powerful. This artful balance between noise and quiet is what give Matti's film their visceral punch. His soundscapes aren't background, they're part of the storytelling itself, shaping how we feel when we breathe and how long we hold that breath. And when all these elements, story, production, color, editing, and sound come together, we get the unmistakable stamp of Erik Matti. Raw, relentless, and unapologetically Filipino cinema.
Fresh stories, fresher insights, better context culturally, but at the same time, they want a level of
Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video and want to help me create more deep dives into Philippine cinema, you can now join my YouTube membership for as low as 39 pesos a month. Yes, Philippine peso. It's a small way to support the channel, but it makes a huge difference for me to keep telling these stories. For those watching outside the Philippines, you can check the equivalent in your currency right on the join page. Every member helps keep the lights on for more films, more stories, and more conversations. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you on the next video.